I think we're gonna be live on Twitch. I will tell you guys in one sec.
Well, I sent the link to Caitlin.
We are
so
officially live on Twitch.
Let's go.
Okay, we are live on Twitch. And let me close this out because it'll make noises. Oh, Gab's hungry.
Oh, I should probably close this.
Harangue.
There we go. Oh, gee. Okay. Okay.
I gotta cleanse the palate for talking shit. Actually, I don't think I have. This is another. This is like another little PG week because I don't think of all the things we're going to discuss today. There wasn't really anything.
Yeah, I don't think
that I thought was bad.
Yeah, this is one of those.
We need to watch more bad shit.
We do, and I think
we don't watch enough bad stuff
because I think the fans, the fan that we have. I think for the fan, we should provide laughs in watching shitty things.
100%, which we will do if we ever do another After Dark.
So.
Yeah, because at least in the things that actually they might get a little bit about tonight. Well, we'll see. But I think as we're like trying to be more present and up to date with the stuff that we're reviewing and like tracking it all, I just haven't seen anything that's like just like good trash. Although next week is Tiger King 2.
Is that a series or is that just
Tiger King 2?
I think it's a season. It's like another.
It's another season.
Yeah. Because you got to figure this is beef footage.
So I think that for that one, I saw there was a trailer, Fico. Hell, if someone wants to watch the trailer, I know that's an impromptu segment, but if we want to watch the trailer and break it down a little bit, I guess. But
fuck it,
we'll break it. We'll break it down. Wait, when does it come out? When does it premiere?
It comes out next Wednesday. So what I propose is for the Small Screen Society is that we do our first segment of Locked In, where we are all going to watch. Let's all watch the first episode and see, and then we'll give our vote if we are locked in for season 2 of Tiger King. I really want to make custom like locks, even if they're like Sesame Street style cardboard locks.
Assuming that there was some oversized like a lock, like some novelty thing. Couldn't find it.
Same.
So now I'm gonna have to go to Home Depot and spend like $80.
Doesn't
on
exist.
A legit master lock that's this big. Whatever.
No, just make one. We'll just go to Michael's one day and just make some out of styrofoam
that's
and
good call.
Paint them.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. I want to make like a Blue's Clues looking kind of prop, like with funky color. Mine will be like comic book themed, obviously. Right. Fico, your lock could be like maybe like wrestling thing, like and just be like if we're locked in or not. Just kind of like our identities and see if we're locked in for what we're watching. So we basically
are going to, as soon as the reviewer ends, when we give our score for that episode, we just say locked or not locked.
Okay.
Or we could also, I think it would be funny if we started it with that because it's kind of, we could play with the tension of I am not locked in.
Advertisers, because that'd be a perfect segue to really drum up some what's what I'm like some cliffhanger shit. Like, am I locked in?
Yes.
You'll find out after this word from our sponsors, and it's like Goya is the
and like whatever. What's the
from Propecia?
What's a good lock brand?
Fucking Master's
Master. Yeah, Master.
Oh my god! If that happened, that I would actually love that. It's like a literal actual lock company.
Our locked in segment presented to you by Master Locks.
That or like Schleg.
That'd be pretty hilarious.
I'd love that.
A good one too. That's a fun one to say.
I would love it. Guy, is Schleg or Master Lock? If you're listening to us, we love your locks.
Now that we've self-promoted and pretended like we matter. Welcome to the show.
That's so true.
This is the Small Screen Society. This is episode 101. The first episode of the new regime, of the new era of Small Screen Society. We are here. We are live. Rom, Gab, and Angelo. Hello, guys.
Good evening.
Our producer is in
the building.
I'm so sour.
I know
I just wanted someone to get fired.
I know last week we teased last week a possible on-air firing, but he showed up.
But let me be very clear to the person listening, to the one person, that yes, he's allowed to stay, but he also has responsibilities in post that like he needs to be taken care of. So, because this is a very big part of the new regime at Small Screen Society, that we're going to be very consistent with content and like uploads and social media. And I can see him at the corner of my eye with just like kind of like just looking. Like, what have I done? And I'm like, what you've done is you've accepted responsibility, bitch. Yeah. So welcome to the show.
We do have a lot of good ideas and good content coming out, and we're gonna try our best to be as organized and as professional as possible in releasing our content. Because we have fun doing this, and we want to continue to do this.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Gab, go ahead and lead us off with our first review or discussion.
So where do we want to start? Do you want me to just like say which one I want to go with first?
Yeah, you pick. I mean, I'm good with all of them, with any of them.
All right, I think the one that's easiest to wrap up is because we got a conclusion this week on American Crime Story.
Okay.
Impeachment. I think that's a good place. We had the series finale last night. I was able to catch up on all the episodes that I had left. I want to open by saying that this season of American Crime Story, out of all the ones that have come out thus far, at least on the social media specter, had the least
buzz.
I didn't see too much of this show pop up as it was airing. And now that we have to the end of the series, I have my final conclusions and final opinions of the show as a whole, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to try to stay as focused as I can. Brought to you by Stacy. A nice little notepad.
Smart.
Because I'm trying to take notes to stay organized. Mainly my stuff is focusing around characters for the end and just like some beats I think they got right. And then there are some things I think by the end, after the show concluded, where I think they could have done different. So, for instance, I know that one of my biggest locked in for this show was the fact that Edie Falco was going to be playing Hillary Clinton. I was very annoyed that it took her to the 7th episode to get there. But what time she did get on screen, I found was phenomenal. Yes, I know why they hired her. This woman won an Emmy for the most epic like marriage fight scene about infidelity in like the history of television in Sopranos, and she got to have something like that again with Clive Owen as Bill Clinton. I really like that scene. I like that it wasn't. It didn't assume too much. Rather than to me, it felt like from Hillary's point of view, it was saying more like the history lesson or like just the logical conclusions of this moment in American history, where she was saying to him, if I can't leave. If I leave, I'm the woman who left Bill Clinton, and if I stay, I'm the woman who stayed. Like I lose either way. Like, yes, she's giving that emotional performance and making it personal, but she's also, it's kind of like a little bit of a from the future observation of what this was and what it meant to her and for her. So I like that in the fight it didn't assume too much and where both of them would have come from in this particular argument, but rather it just gave you a good sum up of what it meant for them as a whole and their quote unquote legacy.
Right.
So I thought that scene was really great. I liked that the moment that the report about the case from Star was released, I thought it was an interesting use to show the guy who plays the Drudge Report character when he was trying to get online and his internet wasn't working as the report was being released and people were beginning to absorb it. The way I took that scene was, this is like the beginning of the internet gossip era. Like this is the beginning of the decay of, I guess, integrity. It just, maybe I'm wrong. There's other moments in history that people would assume as this, but a legal document, like an actual legal like giant ass textbook that goes into detail about how he stuck a cigar in Monica Lewinsky's vagina. Like, why the hell does that need to be in this like fucking federal? It's just like gossip. It just like to me it seems so ridiculous. So to see that even the Drudge Report guy, the one who's kind of runs this narrative of gossip and stuff in town, as his shit wasn't like
Right.
working, but you still saw it spreading like wildfire anyway through other mediums and through other sources. So I thought that was an interesting moment to see, because it felt to me like a switch, and a little bit for like as a background into what we could expect in our politics from there on out, because that shit's not left. It's gotten, if anything, it's gotten worse in how we approach our politics and our leaders. I do have other points, but I'll stop there to let you guys give some observations on how you guys felt about the remaining episodes and the end of this series as a whole.
Go ahead, for you. You can go.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on how you were saying, like, this one didn't have like the amount of buzz that, you know, the OJ one and the Versace one had, and I guess you can kind of look at that as this one was kind of slow playing a bit. There's a lot of dialogue going on. There's a lot of moving parts going on. There's obviously there's no like violence, suspense in that nature. So I could see people being like, oh, this is boring, or whatever. But I thought the whole series was actually just so well done. It was so fascinating because, again, we've talked about it at length here that we were so young while this whole thing was going on. So to actually start watching it and you realize all the players involved here, everything that actually happened, you know, it's a bit wild. I definitely want to agree with you with Edie Falco, man. Like you said, it's crazy because you really don't see her at all until that 7th episode, and she commands it, she owns it, she has that fight with him is just so well done, and it felt so real. It almost felt like it's like if that's what actually happened between Hillary and Bill, like I just believe it. Like I feel like it was just so perfectly done. And then again, like in the last couple episodes, she kind of fades to the wayside again, and she's like barely there. So like after that episode, I just wanted more. I wanted to see what else was going to happen, but we weren't really we weren't able to get that. But that, I believe, was it episode 9, the grand jury episode, was probably I would say my favorite episode, just because it is very tense and it's almost like uncomfortable at times. Like you can feel like Monica's like tension when she's, you know, she says she's like a 25-year-old in front of the grand jury having to like rehash this crazy, terrible experience of hers, and it's very intimate, it's very personal, and you could see at first the grand jury's like, oh, she's a whore, she's a homewrecker, this and that, and then kind of by the end of it, you start getting to know her. It's like, yo, this poor girl was just basically, you know, like moonlighted throughout this whole thing. You felt bad for her.
Yeah.
And then you get Linda Tripp on there, and man, like, I don't know if I've hated a character this much in a long time, because every time she's got that smug arrogance about her, and that just shows how great the actress is that plays her. Like she killed that role.
She's awesome.
And like the thing is, now
she's
Sarah
Paulson, man.
If Linda Tripp, like, I want to watch like interviews and stuff with her just to know if she was this fucking just arrogant. Like I just want to know if she was chasing that much clout for real. But I was gonna say, like, it's just watching her double down on, well, I did this to protect her, and it's like, well, you were afraid that the Clintons were gonna kill you, but you outed this girl who was actually having the affair, and you didn't think anything was gonna happen to her. And it's like, no. And that was a great question. You could see how like rattled the character got, and it's like, yeah, exactly,
yeah.
And I think she had a brief moment, almost like a brief moment of clarity, being like, huh, didn't really think about that going into this questioning. And then you kind of
because she was only thinking about herself throughout the whole thing.
At no point was she ever really actually thinking about Monica.
She was all. It was all about the clout.
And it's clear. It's clear as day.
And you know, I think it was episode 10. I think it was the last episode. You know, she's still doubling down on, like, oh, I did this. I'm the one who blew the whistle because I needed to say something. I'm the brave one. No, not at all. You basically sandbagged your friend, whether or not you want to admit it or not that she was your friend. you made it all about you. You ruined a lot of lives in the process of this whole thing. And then like when she's basically talking to her lawyer, like, oh well, I have immunity. He's like, yeah, you have federal immunity, but not state. It's almost like even this guy, like her lawyer, almost seemed like he wanted her to go down. You know, like I just love that after that part, everybody that she came in contact with basically was like, "You're a terrible person." And it's crazy.
Right.
Again, Linda Tripp's not with us. She can't really defend the the truth. Yeah, she can't
Portrayal.
really defend the veracity
The
of these
portrayal
claims
on the
or not.
show. Yeah.
But man, if it's even half what we saw on screen, man, that she's not a good person. But
I mean, I
I
think
was gonna say in general, I really did enjoy this episode. It might not have been as crazy and action packed as some of the other ones, but I think it was actually very well done, and it was a really good commentary about like at the end, right, where they're in the bar, and like the news channel comes on. It's like, oh, there's another allegation against Clinton, which might have been the most serious one if it was the rape one. And it's like, oh man, another Clinton scandal. Like, can you put on the Grammys? And it's like it almost shows us like at that point no one cared. So like no wonder why a lot of women don't come out with this stuff, because it just kind of gets swept under, So
right.
it was. I thought that was a pretty good way of ending it and stuff. But I just loved the way they kind of wrapped everything up. I thought at some points I thought it was going to be a little bit rushed, but they really did pull everything together. So really a really solid season, I think.
The biggest, I mean, thinking about all the things that you guys have mentioned, without trying to be repetitive, I think for me, things that stand out, and it has to be, just Linda Tripp just did not, like, even after she had surgery to like change her face, she even after doing all that last like scene that she's in where she's having that conversation at the end, nothing has changed.
There was just she doubled down every chance.
It didn't matter. It didn't really matter. Like it just I thought maybe in that last scene we were going to get kind of like a little moment of redemption for her, because like she'd feel bad. Like this has been like a little bit of time after this whole thing happened. But like you said, she doubles down. She continues to say the same thing. She doesn't. She just doesn't understand that this looks
bad
no other way other than you did this because you wanted the attention. And even still, you're sitting here now trying to continue getting attention. You're trying to have this person write an article about you in a magazine so that your name continues to be, talked about. Even after you changed your look so that people would probably stop recognizing you in the street, so that they could stop getting people having talking shit to you, in your face. So it's like she doesn't have any redeeming qualities. I think she's just like, I hope that she wasn't truly like this all the way, and that like this was just like an exaggerated version of her. But I think that this is a terrible person, and the worst kind of person. Like people that just like that will do anything that it takes to get what they want, or that don't see how their actions affect other people.
That their insecurities are so strong.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that it's a bad, shitty kind of person. The thing with the girl with the big nose that had surgery.
Yeah, man.
Paula.
Yeah.
That was sad, man, because again, you've got this situation where this girl isn't even a bad person, and she wasn't even doing this out of spite in the first place. Like she was doing this because her scumbag boyfriend was kind of pretty much forcing her to do this. And all this happens. She creates this whole thing, and now she's in a scenario where she's got to do what she's got to do because she's broke.
Yeah.
I actually really want to. I want to touch on that because I thought it was very powerful, the contrast of the photo shoots, the Hillary Clinton photo shoot.
That was awesome. That was great.
And the Paula photo shoot. Because it's a moment in the show where it's showing you the issues of class, issues of gender, of course, like that much is obvious. There's an irony of it.
Yeah.
Like here she is, a woman who came forward because of sexual abuse and assault
She
against
should
her.
be the one
and then
sitting
because
in
of
seat.
that,
It's
not even about sitting in that seat. It's the fact that now she has like that because of coming forward. The consequence is now I have to sell my body.
Right. Yeah, I don't mean literally in like the seat that Hillary's in, but I'm saying like yes, she should be the one that's in that's doing a photo shoot for a high class magazine or whatever it is that is kind of like bigging her up as opposed to. Because she is like the one that started this whole thing, She had the, but I don't know.
That was tough.
I think, but even in the Hillary case, as much as that was like a glamorous photo shoot to prop her up, the reason it's coming to be is because of her support for Bill.
Yeah.
So she's doing that in that action and sense. So you see that contrast between the two women and their positions in society and in their class and whatever. But at the end of the day, juxtaposed, they're kind of the same thing. Women always paying the price and having to deal with something something that they didn't do or isn't their problem. So I felt that was extremely heartbreaking, and I agree. The actor, but overall, the actress who played Paula Jones, damn, that end for her. I literally went back through the last episode, like, wait, was that really her last moment in the show? Actually, I did that for all. I did that for Bill. I did that for Hillary. I did that for Paula. There were so many characters that I was just like, whoa, that was your last moment? Like, that's how we end our time with you?
Yeah.
So that was impactful, I think. And then Hillary again, if this show wants to communicate anything with the Hillary Clinton, it's she is Bill Clinton. There is no Bill Clinton without Hillary. Because in any single moment that anything happens, Bill goes, Hillary, what do you think?
I think he mentions
Hillary,
that.
what do you think?
He mentions that in
Hillary, what do you think?
The 9th episode or 10th episode, he's like, no matter, for like the last like 20 something years, the only person's opinion that I gave a shit about was yours, and it showed.
And who should have been president? She should have been president because the only reason Bill was because she propped him up to be. And at that time, a woman president, and we still don't have a woman president. Yeah. Like, it's so unheard of. So it's kind of like the obvious candidate of their little duo would have to be him. And so she played that role to support him and his career to put him where he got. So I think, I don't know, even for myself, I would find that so like just frustrating. Could you imagine like you've done everything you can to prop someone else up, even though it's probably your own wish to be at that level, and the repayment is I put my cigar in an intern's vagina? Like, what?
Yikes.
Yeah, that was rough. That scene where she's describing that, and like even the girl giving her the interview is just like, God, this is
that's
awful,
another one,
man. This sucks.
That's another one. How women suffer the fucking consequences for this bullshit. It's like, oh, who's gonna ask her about that? The pregnant the pregnant lawyer is the one who has to do it.
You don't have the balls to go and ask her yourself, you goddamn assholes. Like,
you're the one trying to milk her for everything she's worth.
Yeah, that was rough. And the thing is, like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that part of this whole story.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So again, we're kids. They don't tell us shit. I'm not gonna go and look this up afterwards when I get older. I just always assumed that the cigar thing was like, oh, he had himself a smoke after like she went down on him or something like that. I did not realize that he was doing that. So that's,
I heard the cigar thing, but I thought it was a joke. I didn't know that it was actually within Monica Lewinsky's testimony. Ramon, you were going to say something?
To me, it's almost a little more crass and vulgar than the cum dress.
Yeah, absolutely. And like if
the cum dress is just it's a whoopsie.
Yeah, and she defended,
but like that's just like,
and she defended that like to the grand jury. She's like, well, like I'm not just gonna bring one piece of clothing to the dry cleaner. I'm going to take a bunch, so I don't have to. And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense,
right?
So yeah, whatever you have.
Actually, I would agree. I would have bought that.
I
would totally bought that.
pretty vile, man. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to
I mean, hey,
Gab. You had mentioned I'm trying to like kind of recollect what you guys were saying. This thing about the story and the internet.
Yeah.
I know to me, I took that as almost like the first viral moment on the in the internet, because if you notice, like he couldn't get onto it, and also the kids at the school, they were trying to get onto the website, but like the servers were down because again they weren't expecting so many people to log into the website and try to download that at the same exact time, and that's what happens.
Was wild. Like watching.
You know what I mean?
There was that was kind of cool because it's like we're gonna put up the web address for and then you see her run over with like the primitive laptop and like the cord. Holy shit! Like this is how it was. Yeah. The computer banks at colleges.
Watching
there was a joke where it was like someone said, "Like, well, at least you taught a bunch of people how to use the internet or something like that."
That's what I'm saying. Like that's like to me, it seems like that's like the first viral moment on the internet where something happens that everyone is rushing to the internet to do the thing and see that particular thing.
The first moment.
Very awful to see Chelsea.
Oh yeah,
that shot of Chelsea. Hard. Just all we needed was the eyes reading, but like,
it's enough.
That was rough. Overall, for me, for the show itself. Those are kind of just like the points that I want to make in terms of like the characters and things like that. Oh, one other thing too. Again, you were mentioning the situation with the bar and how they were like, "Oh, turn that off," and it's like to me that's just like the worst thing out of all of these things is the last thing,
and never even gets
the rape allegations.
It never gets the time of day,
right? It doesn't get the time of day, but had these idiots that were so focused on impeaching the president and like getting this out there to damn him, to get him out of there, had they maybe done more research and not just gone off of this like gossipy like sexual acts stuff, that maybe that would have done more damage instead of them just releasing this big ass report of just sexual acts. You see what I'm saying?
It was basically that report was basically a fucking tabloid. You know, for what it is.
Well, at the end of the day, with the Juanita case, though, for 20 years she had been denying it. But so they had been trying with Juanita for a very long time. They had been. She just for the entire time been denying it, and that this was the moment that she decided to come forward. I do agree, though, Emil, for the sake of impact, if there's an overall conclusion to take away from the show, this was a fucking circus.
Yeah, it was a circus from the beginning.
Absolutely.
It was a circus from the beginning. There was no reason for it other than these movements for political gains.
That's it. That's all it was.
And it wasn't about the victims, because at the end of the day, Paula is broke out in her home and she's showing her body to make some dollars, even though the reason that she got in that position was the first place was sexual abuse. Yeah. Like that to me is like some kind of novel shit. Monica, who never saw any of that shit. I love how her last moment on screen is the "I'm okay." Right. Or like, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to be okay. And it's kind of like she's trying to convince herself because she will forever be, she's not, and she will forever be Monica Lewinsky. Yeah. And that would be her, what
that
it
was
did
rough.
To her.
That one person who is like, would you bring, what would you tell your family if you brought home Monica Lewinsky?
What would you tell your son being like, I'm going to marry Monica Lewinsky?
Yeah.
And
just like that. Oh,
I mean, that shit's real, man. That fucking girl got dragged pretty crazy for a few years.
Yeah. Overall, the show was okay. I think, if I have to compare it to the other two seasons, I think this one was the weakest in terms of like how it ended, like the whole from start to finish, because it was just slower.
It's slow, and
but then again, like the other one,
crimes of passion, murder, car.
Exactly. I think. Yes, I think because of the fact that there isn't like a murder involved, then that it's gonna naturally be slower than the other ones that we've seen. It was well acted and very well done, and I'm happy that I watched it. And I would not, and I'm gonna recommend it to somebody else that has not seen it and wants to know about that story.
I might watch it again
in that time.
In that situation, definitely.
But it for me, it's out of the three that it's definitely the weakest. So like,
I agree.
I'm gonna probably give it a 7 out of 10.
That's where I am. Great, it's a good show. But exactly for the reasons you stated, like it wasn't, it wasn't vivid, but again, it was still well acted and it still told a great story. So yeah, I'm fine with a 7 myself.
I think it could have been 2 to 3 episodes shorter. I think it spent a little too much time on the Linda, Trip, Monica friendship. I think with just one episode of investing to show us their connection would have been enough. I think it took a little too long to get into the actual scandal, which I really wasn't until episode 6 or 7. And those later episodes ended up being the strongest. So I think in terms of that, I'd give it 6 out of 10. Which is still worthy. I think if anyone, especially from our generation or younger, that wants to take a look at this time in American history and the fucking shit show that it was, I think it's still worth checking out. It does a really good job.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. We can move on, I guess, Gab, or you lead us on to the next one.
So next, guys, let's do The Harder They Fall, the Netflix original film that released last week that was getting a lot of buzz. I remember this like popping up a lot on social media. I actually wasn't really aware of this film. We checked it out this weekend. Another original for Netflix, The Harder They Fall, which is a Western with an all-black, majority black cast. With a lot of familiar faces in this. You have friggin' Idris Elba, Jonathan Majors, Regina King. There's RJ Seiler. I only know that one because he was in the Power Rangers movie. And sorry, I'm a forever fan. Dion Cole is in there. Like, there's so many faces throughout the movie. That Damon Wayans Jr. is in it. There's just so many so much talent. So like, and you get a lot of them like in the first 10. Sorry, I'm going to the review, but essentially, this is a Western film with an all-black cast, produced by Jay-Z. It takes characters
Jay-Z and somebody else. I just
Jay-Z.
I just don't know the other person.
But we had a producer.
Who's on his phone.
This film?
Could you tell?
Lawrence Bender.
Lawrence Bender. Okay, Lawrence Bender.
James Lasseter.
Okay.
And James Lasseter. Thank you. Look, we're getting fact checks, guys.
That's
new and improved. New and improved.
You'll get your Venmo check this week for earning your keep
on that check.
And he was actually checking already while we were trying to figure out who it was, which means he's actually listening. So, because I thought he was just texting his girlfriend and was going to do what? What do I have to do? What? Anyway, so yes, Western film from Netflix starring a very talented cast, taking figures from actual history and creating a fictional story around them. So it's not that this particular tale that's told within this film is true. It's just that a lot of the people within it are real figures in history, specifically pertaining to the West and like the cowboy thing. I would say off the bat, just to get it out of the way, we can all agree this is a very good movie. This is very well done. Yeah. So in terms of judging it on its quality, I think I don't have to go too much into the detail. This is very much a worthy film to spend some time and watch. Something that I didn't know going into this, because what it did make me do, which I think is also the intention, is that as it opens, it gives you that screen of like that this is based on real people. So automatically you have me paying attention a little more, because I think that you're going to give me something that's going to give a lot of like real in factor, and will probably spark some curiosity to look up some details. And what I didn't know, that the truth of history is 1 in 4 cowboys were black. You would, in the actual history. I didn't know that. There was
any Western that we've ever watched.
Not even
Western
close.
No.
Not even close. You thought it was an all-white people
Yeah.
thing, but the truth of the fact is, a lot of black people were like in the West, and like they were very much a part of it because there was that transition of like skills and livelihood
Right.
that they went West after freedom in order to like capitalize and try to create a life for themselves. So wouldn't have known that if it weren't for this movie. So already, just on that, it's already succeeding. Characters like Rufus Buck, Stagecoach Mary, and Nate or Nat Love were all real people as well. The one that most stood out to me, and I have to commend it in this movie, of course, Mel will know, is Danielle Deadweiler's character, who's I think her name was Cuffy.
Man.
So she was the Cuffy was MVP. Cuffy was MVP. Who was that character? It was another person from real life who was the first black woman to join the U.S. military. So I thought to have her involved as well, even though this isn't a true story, to take these significant figures and create this story around them, I didn't think was a bad thing. Because if I even think of something like Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like those are real people, and that's a historic story, but he's doing a twist with it,
right?
Yes,
which I
like.
a
spin on it to like highlight these.
I love that.
New adventures for these people.
I love that idea because it gives the audience, you understand the character, you understand the people that they are, and whatever like skill set or even anything like that. But then you're putting them in these scenarios that are either going to be hilarious or going to be exciting and stuff that we're not gonna know whether or not, like, you know what I mean. It's just I think that it's fun and creative to do that with real life characters. You don't have to always create a story that's exactly the way it happened.
Exactly. No, you can
and it'd be entertaining.
Some fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was, and I want to say one more thing, and I'll let you guys kind of like talk about your views. This isn't a deduction on points. I think it's just it was just something that kind of stood out to me. How it felt a little at times like a play, because that the center of Redwood, or I think the name of the town, Redwood. A lot of the movie takes place in this street. Right. So the street, that strip, and that gave me a very like play feeling of where we're very keeping ourselves to one specific kind of like to one specific location, one specific set, which isn't a complaint about it. But just something I noticed, and I think for Netflix to have pulled off a film that still feels really big budget and large, and then realize that so much of it took place in just one set area, I thought was really cool, and I thought that was and of course the soundtrack. Those are my thoughts on it.
The soundtrack was awesome. It's definitely one of my favorite parts about it. The soundtrack just did not miss everything. Like some of the modern songs. I'm sure there's songs that were made just for the film. Some of those, like some of like the songs that they sang, possibly like, they might have been like old slave songs and stuff. Like such a nice touch, and like the harmony, that worked out. I think that was probably
the girl at the bar. The girl at the bar, that one song at the bar great. when the blue girl is dancing around.
That shit. I looked that up to like make sure like this like can I download this? Can I get this on Spotify after? Because that shit was hot.
You can.
I found the soundtrack. I found
the soundtrack too.
Lakeith Stanfield is like becoming one of my favorite actors because
he's agreed.
He doesn't need a big feature. You could have him in a small sample size, and he will steal that scene. No matter who else is in it, he can steal that scene. He did it in Get Out. He did it in this. Like his character, so soft spoken. And just the way he went about stuff, the way he carried himself, he stole every scene for me. He was riveting throughout the movie, and then you get that it's almost like a little bit of a comic relief with him. Like it was very cheeky how his character's dialogue worked.
There's something like permanently dark humor about him.
Just
it's
like everything, man.
I don't know what it is. It's just like it's hard for me to watch a scene with him and not think that what he's either doing or saying is either slightly sarcastic or just like leading up to like some sort of dark joke.
Right, exactly.
He's a seductive
it's
prick.
like that's the kind of person that he is. It looks like, so he's whenever he plays
I
characters,
love it. Like
it just makes me enjoy it even more.
when he.
I mean, we talk about rewatch.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I would just say, like, when it comes to rewatchability of this movie, that one scene that stands out that I know of, I could probably go back and watch is specifically because of him, is the train scene where they're trying to free Rufus.
That was awesome, and just the way he talks in that whole scene.
Yes,
it's very matter of fact, and it's very just like, this is what's going on, and
I'm saying it right now. This guy's getting an Oscar.
He should.
This guy's gonna get an Oscar. He will. He's gonna get that role. He's gonna. Because I think when you give talent that can do things in nuance and that can do things in subtlety and knows how to give you that transmit that stuff that's so hooking, and even when they're off screen, you're still kind of thinking about them a little bit from what they're doing.
When he wasn't on screen, I was thinking, what's his play here? What's he gonna do? You know, and they did a good job of really putting him in some really key roles, like the scene with him and was it Beckworth? Beckwick? Beckworth, yeah. The other fast draw, when he finally it's like, oh, we're gonna do this thing. That was so.
What a perfect scene! What a perfectly executed.
And it's
scene.
like, dude, like he was down to do it, and then you're taking your time, and then that little piece of dialogue. It's like, why do they always count so slow? And it's like just someone like
that's the dark humor that I'm talking about.
So
like he just killed a guy, and he cheated to kill him,
right?
But joke.
And it's like,
you know what I mean? Like it's just,
and there's like there was a little bit they do that throughout this film where they add a little bit of like comic relief through it. Sometimes I feel like it might have just missed the mark or came up a little flat. That'd probably be the only bits of like discouragement I have in the movie. That sometimes some of the comic relief kind of just didn't maybe sink, or the moment was too tense for that type of thing.
Right.
But other than that, like listen, they kind of left it open. With at the end, you see Regina King's character, you see Treacherous Trudy or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Spoiler alert.
If you guys want to go ahead and you want to make like a series out of this, or like how they used to do old westerns when you would have, a fistful of dollars and then they came out with the sequel, a few dollars more.
Yeah.
You want to do something like that with this, like They Fall Harder is the next one. Like,
down. Yep.
You sign me up because
100% down.
You gave us such a great story. Even the swerve at the end was like, okay, I could see that. I understand that. And now this makes this scene so much better.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't think Nat was going to do what he did. I thought there was going to be a little bit of a swerve there, and him and
Idris.
Yeah, we're going to kind of like be like, all right, let's see what we can do together. But obviously we didn't get that. But awesome movie. Everything about it, I can't really complain about anything. It's just so cool.
I obviously going into this movie, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea. Plus, I've never really been a Western guy. I've never really cared about any Western cowboys.
I say that until like I watch a Western that I like if I have to watch a Western, I'm like, yo, this shit was dope. Like 310 to Yuma, that shit crazy. But
I was telling Ramel, like, what's that fucking video game that's in the West that everyone like so much? I need to get into the
Yeah, I'm gonna start wearing chaps. So it's just cool.
Cowboy hat.
I'm about it.
So I obviously wasn't sure going into it, but the cast immediately brought me in regardless. So like I knew I was gonna have to watch this movie because of the cast alone. So regardless of what type of movie it was gonna be, when I saw the list of the actors, I was like, I need to watch this no matter what. So, and I mean that alone is a testament to all of these actors. Absolutely. Like that's just like to me that how important they are to Hollywood now. But the movie blew me away completely. The visuals, the looks, the fucking cinematography, like some of the scenes where they're all the whole gang is on their horse, and like the pan out shots of just like the whole gang with like the background on a mountain, the whole gang riding like into the sunset, shit like that, like just beautifully done. The colors vivid, the fucking town Redwood, it's like all these vivid colors. Almost looks like it's done exaggerated just to really show you that like this is a movie about a town, a black town.
And that's what I like. The wardrobes too were like very like they're very cool.
Everything.
Like, Alba had like that velvet red suit. That shit was bad.
Beautiful.
With the gold pistols on
the gold.
That's a
gold pistols
with
like
with the white inlay. Oh,
that.
Holy shit, dude!
Like, why did Halloween just end? Is my question. Why did Halloween just end? Because that was a look.
With the top hat, like badass look.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yes!
cool.
I told Ramel when we were watching that. I'm like, there's something about her wearing that top hat. It's just that, just like
the way she looked rocking it. She
that
looks so cool.
And then by then the comparison, what they did with the white town, everything's white, beautiful. Like it's such a cheeky thing to do that like it hits it so well. Like you make it literal and like it's perfect. Like in that scenario, it's a perfect joke. All the characters, I enjoyed all the characters, all the side characters. I think if I have to give you like a moment where I was like, holy shit, it's definitely to me that last moment between Idris and I forget his name.
Producer Nate.
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, I keep forgetting his name.
Buck.
But that scene,
our producer was trying to chime in to help us out.
They absolutely killed that scene.
That was so cool.
From an acting perspective, Idris explaining the story.
Beautiful.
And then getting up slowly, you know, the whole Jonathan, Jonathan is just such a good actor. I appreciate his talent especially from watching him in what's it
Lovecraft
called?
Country.
Lovecraft Country. So I knew like going into that, if he was going to be the lead role, that he was going to give us a lot of that. In that scene, he completely delivers. The crying when Idris is telling the story, and then until the reveal of the brother thing, and then even the turning around of I don't want to kill you now, but then like I have to do it.
Like I need
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not you're telling me to do it or not. Like he knows inside that he has to do it.
Because honestly, I would have just assumed that Buck would have just killed him. Like.
Right.
He said
he would have.
Like, oh, you're better than me because I can't even kill my own brother like you're about to. I don't believe it in the slightest.
It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. Complete bullshit.
But at the same time, and he's egging him.
He's outnumbered and he's going to die.
So much to do it that I was trying to figure out like why does he want it to go out like this? Like why does he want it to end this way?
I know why. Well, this is my suspicion as to why. He wants to take away the satisfaction of the moment from him.
Yeah.
Like this is a man who was scarred by Rufus, and like so much of his life has revolved around hating this man. That even though he knew the brother's story, he could have taken his brother under his wing if there was any kind of real care of that whatsoever, but there wasn't. So when it comes time for this moment where clearly all his people are dead, he's the only one left. There's no escape for him in this. He knows he's going to die, whether it's by love or by someone else that's outside. So the only thing he really can do is take away the satisfaction, or at least make it conflicting for him in the moment that he's going to have to make a choice. He has to do it, and he succeeded. Like he killed him, but it was like it wasn't as like fuck you motherfucker as like he probably would have loved for it to be.
Which is why you even see him after he kills him, he continues to just like shoot the gun, because it's like he's probably at that point he's so angry that he did it, but he didn't like feel that, so he's just almost like forcing himself to feel that thing that he should have felt in doing so. But yeah, man, it's just a good movie. It's just like a really good movie. It's really well acted. I like it. Like you said, Fico, Lakeith is one of my favorite actors. One of my favorite actors right now. So anything that he does, I'm gonna watch. Regina Hall,
King,
Regina King. I mean,
just steady,
like bro,
Can't say enough.
She's awesome. She's
that
awesome.
That fight scene with her in it, fantastic.
I love her.
So good.
So I'm 100% down for a sequel or a continuation of this.
Tell the story.
Maybe longer franchise.
Yeah, make it a franchise. Revive the Western franchise. Like there is no Western franchise. Like do it.
If
you guys I think that production, that music, that point of view that we haven't seen in film before, you're making it. You're not just reviving it. You're making it original again. The talent is off the wall. Like do it. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Give me new things.
Yeah. New.
I don't
stuff.
care about. I don't mind sequels. I don't mind trilogies. As long as it's new, it's something fresh.
Exactly. There's definitely
we've seen westerns before, yes, but like not anytime soon recently. And like this is a completely new thing. This isn't a fucking remake of some random bullshit.
Yeah, new way of doing it. Just
very simple.
You can tell it's
yeah.
Black Western locked in.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, whatever they choose to do, I'm locked in. It's very good, a very good movie. If we want to go scores already,
go for it.
I'm gonna probably go 9 out of 10.
Okay, for me, that's gonna have to be an 8 out of 10.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 9 as well. I don't have too much negativity to say about it. I think it was a really well acted, well produced, well made film. I saw, I think we mentioned it, maybe not on the air or anything like that, but there's definitely some odes to Tarantino in there,
that absolutely,
the bloodshed. It was very
absolutely.
I enjoyed that, and I just think they told a good story. And if there's more stories to tell, I'm definitely in for the ride because. You won me over with this.
A lot of the
Fico, would you say that you're locked in?
Locked in.
Yeah, a lot of the camera angles and a lot of the way that it was shot, instantly gave me Tarantino vibes.
Yeah, like that beginning scene where they roll the when you get the title basically when he's shooting the guy with the scorpion tattoo in the church and you get the blood's flying everywhere. But, every shot is the title.
I was like,
very Tarantino.
There's no way Tarantino didn't have a hand in this.
They definitely
a little bit.
There's definitely
that opening was very.
But it was good. It was very good. Very good.
Just the dialogue too. The dialogue was just well done.
Yeah. All right, Gab. Let's
finish us off. We're gonna finish us off with a little bit of Marvel, a little bit of MCU, fellas.
Not get so close to the mic next time.
Oh, sorry, they probably heard it. We'll cut that part out in post. So to wrap this, I get very excited about the MCU, especially this movie that we're about to discuss. Eternals, the latest film in the MCU, released last week. We know for the past 2 weeks it's been getting review bombed by critics on Rotten Tomatoes, making it the first rotten score for an MCU film to date. That all made me all the more excited to see it because I'm like, what the hell is this going to be about? We know at surface level, the Eternals is of course based on a comic book by Marvel Comics created by Jack Kirby, which is like a ripoff of the New Gods, but more on that somewhere else. It focuses on a set of aliens that are sent by these beings called the Celestials, the creators of the known universe, to inhabit a planet and protect intelligent life from these things called the Deviants. These apex predators set on basically killing and eating everything that comes in their path. We follow these Eternals who by name obviously live forever, and as we catch up with them in the modern day as they have a new challenge ahead of them as deviants arrive again and more secrets of the MCU begin to unfold. Gentlemen,
yes,
I am gonna I don't know if I want to just give it to you guys first, because Ramel's energy, Fico's energy is already giving me something of the sense of I'm about to be offended. But I'm gonna give it to Fico first. Ramel's laughing because Ramel's ready to rip this a new asshole. This might be a mistake giving it to Fico because I don't know if he knows.
I'm gonna keep mine so brief. I just
That's
didn't
not good.
get it. Like these people are supposed to take care of the world, and they only show up when these fucking monsters. It just did not hit with me. And plus, I was so caught up with going to McDonald's to try to get you this toy out of Happy Meals that I don't think I could have actually enjoyed this film, even if I could. I was so goddamn frustrated with every Happy Meal that I bought. They kept giving me the same shit. It was garbage.
You kept getting the same toy,
You would
right?
think that they were just trying to, they would give you different ones, but no, it was the same one every fucking time.
I'm convinced at this point because the toys he was getting were the same toys that were in New York. So I'm like, do they only just have like
They're all
2
bullshit.
toys per
This
like
feels
every
like
5
eBay.
states?
It feels like when they do the McDonald's Monopoly and like you just want to get Broadway, but you fucking goddamn keep getting Park Ave because they obviously
Because there
isn't
is
a
no
Broadway.
Broadway.
Actually,
There isn't a Broadway.
we're
It's all a
stepping away
trap.
from it at this point, but there's that HBO thing about how the Monopoly thing was a big scam. And
Yes,
there's
yeah.
there's basically two
Yeah,
pieces in the whole world, and they're locked away.
Yeah,
somewhere.
it's ridiculous. It's
But anyway,
ridiculous. It's
I
ridiculous.
digress.
Right.
The movie just did not hit for me personally. Good visuals, good cast, story's dog shit. I am not
Okay.
locked in. I'm locked out. Forgot my key. Can't. Never again. Never again.
Locked
I'm
out.
locked out. Take
Really, Pico? Okay.
Take it.
That's how you
Rob.
feel.
Take us away.
Yeah. So
Yes, Ramon, please step in. Take it away. What do you have to say?
the first hour of the movie, I checked my watch because I was like, "There's another hour and a half
Right,
of
I
this."
had to do the continuous pause play thing. Like, gee, how am I 32 minutes in? And just roll
Yeah,
credits.
so and
Sorry, guys. I just
And
need to do this because I
I was-
feel I might get chapped from ripping your asses.
I was
and
in the movie theater for this.
right.
So I check my watch. I'm an hour in. I'm like, am I gonna have to get up right now and take a little break, come back, because it doesn't look like I'm gonna miss much. There is a moment. So the first hour is completely garbage.
Yes.
It's all over the place. Other than the fact that they do these historical scenes where they go back in time
That's cool.
and they are in the hanging gardens of Babylon and ancient fucking Aztec Mexico and stuff. That's the cool part for me. But story-wise, I could care less. Also, don't care about another Superman. Don't need it, don't want it, never want to see it again. Don't need another Flash. Don't need another, kind of Green Lantern. I don't need these things. Well, because she has she opens up and a sword comes out, but it looks like kind of Green Lantern-esque. I don't need these things. I've already seen them in very major superheroes on DC. I am okay with Marvel because a lot of times Marvel gives me these movies about these rando BC fucking heroes that I have no idea who they are, but they're kind of unique in their own ways, and then they make them cool. But again, I don't need to see heroes that I've already seen in an ensemble movie that I also already just saw in Justice League. So I felt that in the first hour, just I don't care for this at all. So then there's a moment in the movie where I switch to not caring a lot, but okay. It's just okay. So I go from all right, this is cool. And I know that Gab is going to discuss this a lot, but there's scenes like the scene with the gay character guy, Fastos. There's the scene with
Guys, if you're gonna shit on anyone's chests from this movie, you can at least know their names.
I'm not gonna know a single person's name in this
I
movie.
want to forget this film. I want to forget that I've seen it.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
and then also another big moment is when they introduce Dinesh.
Yeah.
Because to me, the moment that Dinesh comes in and starts
Okay, well, let's call him it. Like that's his name in the other show. Here he's the actor Kumail is playing Kingo.
Sure.
Yeah.
When Kingo comes in, I go, okay, this guy's hilarious, and he's doing basically jacked Dinesh as a superhero.
Right.
So I go, this I can get on board with. Of course, every scene that he's in is hilarious.
Right. He's great.
Yeah, Fastos is awesome in terms of like the story that they created for him. The what's the little one, the little girl, Sprite. I did like her story in terms of how she's angry that she has been a child for thousands of years, and she never gets to experience the things that adults get to experience because she's been a kid her whole life, even though she's thousands of years old. I thought that was a good touch because, again, these are things that I like in these kind of movies. It's realism. I like these comic book movies to give me some sort of reality, things that are closer to home than just complete fantasy.
Yeah, that's...
Wait, but if there's anyone watching this, I think you need to specify a little bit because what specifically hits close to home about an immortal being?
Not close to home, like me personally. I mean, like
you could feel where they're coming from.
I can feel where that character's coming from in her anger,
right,
about not being able to do the adult things that she wants to do.
And
okay, so basically taking those supernatural science fiction stories and then grounding them in some kind of emotional base.
Like I don't need a full 100%. Like this guy is from the sun and he's got perfect powers and like that's just his life. You know what I mean? Like I like that these guys have these stories.
And these internal conflicts and these struggles and these dichotomies and these
so at that point when that kind of stuff started coming into play a little more. I was more interested in the movie. Yeah. I then lost a little bit of. I lost a little bit of that care again when it came to like the final scene. Just because I didn't care for how that was done. They were just trying to prevent this big ass thing from coming out of the ground. But then, like, the way that it was done, it just, like, felt like,
meh.
So, the movie, all in all, the movie had good characters. Some bad, but a lot of good. Some good stories for these characters that kept me interested. But overall, wasn't a great movie.
Right.
And it's probably a movie that I don't need to see again, but but there are parts of it and there are characters in it that I would like to see in movies going forward, just not probably this ensemble again as a whole like this. I don't need to see this particular movie again.
Fair. That's where I'm at.
One last thing. I don't think that it warrants less than a 50. I think to me, if we're gonna go like if we're looking at the Rotten Tomato score, I think that a 40 something is that what it has?
Like a 46.
I think that's way. I think that's too low. I think that's a little too low. I think it's probably like around a 60, 65, something like that.
I'd say 64.
Maybe
64%.
Yeah, something like that.
Do it.
Go ahead, Gab.
Tell us. Make us believe.
Thank you. So first of all, I'm going to say right out of the gates, this is my favorite solo IP Marvel movie to date. And so when I mean solo IP, I mean that it's the singular property of Eternals. I personally don't consider Captain America Civil War to be a Captain America film. I consider that to be an Avengers film. You needed basically all these motherfuckers in your movie to really get those ticket sales because Captain America 1 just was not that good. And when I look at all the other solo Marvel movies, like the solo little mini franchises, the overwhelming majority of them, I have gone to theaters and seen them and gone, okay, and then gone home and not thought about that shit ever again. That was me with that's me with Doctor Strange movies. That's me with the Ant-Man movies. That's me with the Iron Man movies, except number 1. The Thor movies. Terrible. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, trash. Hulk, the bastard child that the MCU pretends isn't part of their roster. I think, and even the Spider-Man films, to be quite honest with you, the first 2, I thought were just fine movies. And that's and to me, that's a large consensus of the MCU and a complaint from the 3 of us about the MCU multiple times as we've spoken on this podcast. It is a franchise and a studio that ultimately plays it safe with their films and doesn't dare to step out the line of their formula. Is there things in this movie that are formulaic to the MCU? Absolutely. There are things that are formulaic. Even Kumail as Kingo, amazing. Ramel, I completely agree. Without him, this would be a snooze fest. A lot of his humor is very much to the recipe
100%,
of
100%,
MCU
yes,
humor. But it works. Because the guy's a genius and he's hilarious. The action, how we can't do this movie without a third act action sequence. It can't just be all theory and conversation. So we have an action sequence. So there are things here that are MCU recipe, but it is a movie that I felt was daring and trying to say something more. What did it execute completely 100%? No. But at the same time, I also understand that this thing is trying to launch its own mini franchise, perhaps its own trilogy, the way other properties have done. And that there is more conversation thus to come forward from surviving characters. I think that to take these characters and make them essentially androids, which removes them very much from their comic book origin, I appreciated, because I'm like, how are you guys going to do the Eternals and then introduce the X-Men? There would be too much overlap and similarity. So they've given them a really specific identity as tools to these gods known as the Celestials.
So in the comics, they're not robot androids?
They're not. No, they are like a different species of human, essentially, that were created by the Celestials. And so they were like, and they're kind of like this small fraction of humanity. Some still live on Earth, and then some move to the moon Titan that revolves around Jupiter. What are you doing with your eyebrows? What's the problem? What's
What's
the issue?
Continue.
Yeah, let me continue, bitch. Because this is so fucking asshole. I see nothing of humor. Fico's checked out, and you know what? But I'm gonna stay here as this ship is sinking, and as both of you are going like, I'm gonna stand in front of this movie and defend it, because another
Titanic just going down, playing
literally going. I'm staying here and I'm playing this shit till I'm submerged in that ice water.
It's been a pleasure, brothers.
It's been a pleasure, brothers. Eternals, bitch. Eternals. So I love this movie for daring to talk about something bigger. The casting. This is, to me, the first MCU cast, no offense to anyone else in the MCU, that has just given me this great talent and chemistry between its characters, where it isn't all just like a lot of MCU movies are. What I don't even know what like, I guess just like that kind of like surface level-y, kooky, fun Saturday morning cartoon-esque energy.
Yeah.
That kooky, there's actual
camaraderie.
There's a deepness almost, and this is a fat cast. There's 10 Eternals, and it still manages to give each of them at least a moment, and even between themselves. And Angelina Jolie's Thena, what she was able to do with her chemistry with Gilgamesh, played by Don Lee, that broke my soul.
That was good.
Like,
That was good. I forgot to mention those, but that was good.
the patience and devotion that they have to each other, I thought was just exceptional. I'll get to the weak links in a minute. Makari and Druig's chemistry, even though they got maybe like 2 moments together, but there was such a strong romantic chemistry between the two of them that I absolutely loved. I agree.
You could tell that they
Bryce
just wanted to
issue-
smash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just wanted to smash. It was
Especially
sexual.
by
It was
the
really...
end, you can just tell they just wanted to smash.
We survived, bitch. Icarus tried to kill me and
They
I
just
didn't.
wanted
We
to
need to smash. Okay, you don't have to do like ASMR. But like, yes. I agree with you, Ramel. Sprite's story, I really appreciated in it as well. Kingo bringing in a lot of the humor. Fastos, and not just because I am the gay man of the podcast, because I was nervous to go into this movie because I'm like, okay, they're promoting this character as the first gay character, but Disney has done this multiple times where they toot the horn of representation, but it's just like a little peck on the cheek over there in the corner during the end credits. Like, if you just like cut the frame a little bit, like, well, they're out. You don't have to worry about it, China. And in this case,
a little magic eraser here, and they're out of here.
Iraq. Don't worry. I just need to cut.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So, and I've said it on the pod too that it's between a rock and a hard place when it comes to representation, because studios aren't willing to do it because their moneymakers, a big chunk of it is international, and they're not as advanced in these conversations as perhaps we might be in the United States. So the representation is always like a cheap little gesture that has no bearing on the story. So I was concerned that it would be the same story here, and absolutely not. They introduce you very clearly. This is him, his husband, and his child living in a home together, and if that's not clear to you yet, motherfuckers, they put them in the center of the screen together, have an intimate moment, and share a kiss. I will say this, and with our producer, we shared this point of view, and I thought I was the only one, so I was excited to hear from him as well. That sitting in the theater, as someone who always preaches these things of representation, wanting to see more gay characters in film, and a lot of people rolling their eyes at me like, gay people are everywhere, shut up. To be in an IMAX theater where basically every fucking seat is filled, and I'm looking at this giant
it was
screen,
a packed house.
Packed house, and there's these two men sharing a kiss together. I got anxiety in the theater, because I was suddenly very aware that I'm watching what is considered a blockbuster movie from a major studio that basically owns the box office. I'm surrounded by a bunch of people, and they are not apologizing or hiding the fact that this is a gay man. And I haven't gotten that yet. I've never gotten that before. That was my first time in a major movie like this. And I just loved not that I love this moment in history, but when we're introduced to Fastos closer to the modern age is when he's looking at the wreckage of the nuclear bomb and how he has essentially given up on humanity because of what we do with our advances and how we've evolved. Right. And to take it to the present day and to see where he has found some peace and some redemption is within these two lives. And I thought that was, to me, I thought that was so beautiful. And then also for him to be the one to subdue Icarus in the final fight, to me, had so many layers, because it's not just the tension that was between the two characters, but you have Icarus, who is a slave of a dogma and unable to think beyond what he is instructed to do and what he is told is right without questioning it, which is a giant allegory for conversations we have in our society. And then you have Fastos, who's not just coming in as the gay character. His power is literally about advancement. It's about pushing forward and pushing boundaries and evolve it. Like, that's what his ability is when it comes to creating this technology and not being afraid of the answers that come from it. So to have that dichotomy between those two characters in that fight and seeing Fastos be the one to subdue Icarus, to me, tears. I got tears in the theater. Even though it wasn't a cry moment, it got tears for me in the theater. I cried like 4 times in the theater to this movie. I really did. I was like, I cried a lot to this movie.
You also cried when you saw it before us by yourself, because that wasn't the first time you saw it.
Yes. Oh. Right. It wasn't my first time. I should have highlighted that. I'd seen it before, and I was like, well, now with the second time, I'm not going to have those kind of powerful emotional reactions. Lies, I did. There were so many moments that I just really struck to my heart, and I think it's because of the talent of this cast. Ramel's point of view on the whole, like, I already have this, and especially when you consider the parallels with Justice League, I'll give it to you. I agree. I think that's why they flew Icarus right into the motherfucking sun at the end of the movie. Where like, yo, we only wanted to borrow Superman. We're not trying to like keep him. So like he can go right back there into the sun, and that's all we're gonna do with him. I think the surviving. I'm very interested in seeing the surviving. Eternals. Ramel says like I don't need to see something with just them, and here's my tidbit to that, or my comment to that.
Wait, hold on. Before you say that,
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of retract that statement, and I'll fix it by saying this: if done better, maybe it was just the way this particular movie was done. Mm-hmm. That I'm not saying that I'm 100% gonna say if they do come out with like an Eternals 2 without fucking annoying Icarus, and like there's a different director, or you know it looks a different way, I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna see it. I will probably go see it, and it's possible that I could like it. It's just this particular movie, the way that it was done, how it was
for you.
Planned out and how it was executed, it just didn't do anything for me particularly.
Just didn't hit. Just didn't
Gotcha.
Hit.
Yeah, I hear that. I think what was I gonna say about where say like I wouldn't do a sequel of this like just them. But if you look at the MCU and all of the mini trilogies, essentially no Marvel character stands on their own. They don't.
Of course.
The most successful Marvel movies are the ones that involve other broader MCU characters. Even Thor Ragnarok had Hulk in there.
But that's almost at this point part of their formula.
Yeah, the formula.
Well, but that's what I mean when people say like these characters weren't strong enough. I'm like, bitch, no one in the MCU is strong enough because now Captain Marvel's getting a sequel, but it's not even called Captain Marvel. It's called The Marvels, and you're going to have Miss Marvel and Photon in it. So you know that when it comes to your sequels, the way you do bigger and quote-unquote better is by adding more characters. So I think an Eternal sequel, where now we're down to just 7 if Harry Styles really is involved.
Let's go, Harry!
Forward. That overlap with other cosmic characters.
Even get me fucking started.
Come on, man! You don't like our boy Hair?
Look, I'm kind of on the same boat with you, but
son of Thanos or whatever, brother, whatever.
Brother of Thanos. Man. So I think I agree. Build some muscles.
You better get stacked.
That's my advice to anyone who does a comic book movie. I'm like, if you're not getting stacked, like, come on. And also, look, Fastos, you're my big teddy, and I love you forever. You know I like them thickies. But my thing is like not only that, but like he's also like if you really think about it, he's also one of the most powerful Eternals because Kingo can shoot lasers out of his hands, right? But Fastos can just make laser gun technology like he did and do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then when you're talking about Athena being able to summon a variety of weapons, Fastos can literally created shields and other weaponry at the same time. So he's kind of 2 for 1. So like my dude is actually like I want him more front and center on these surviving members of these teams because I just think there's a lot to use there. Now we're talking about the weaknesses of this movie. This movie did have weaknesses.
Is he kind of the more Green Lantern that like I was talking about?
And no, if you're gonna compare him to something, it would be Cyborg.
I guess Cyborg, yeah.
The technology aspect, like he's more.
But
Cyborg.
like Cyborg has like strength, and like he can fly
because he's a machine
and shit.
Yeah, but Fastos could probably create a jetpack if he really needed it. He also, when at the beginning of the movie, his technology was creating hover plates for them to step down off the ship, so he can literally just create flight boots and like Flight is not a problem for him if he
Yeah,
needs
you're right.
it. That's what I'm saying. The range of the characters is bananas. Weaknesses of the movie, I do think there was, and we already talked about one who I think is Icarus for sure, and the character who the whole thing revolves around, which is Cersei.
Oh.
Out of all the 10 of the characters, no offense, Gemma Chan, I think she's a great actress, but they just didn't give her
Complete snooze.
Yeah.
Complete snooze. If we were a more advanced culture and society, this would have been a much more interesting story to tell through Phastos' point of view. Because I think what anchors him to humanity and his conflict with it and his peace amongst the Eternals would have been way more interesting to follow than Cersei just hanging out and dealing with boys who like her.
Yeah. It was she was
I
a
just didn't-
snooze. She was a good actress and she's fine, but like I just that character
Nothing.
there was not a single scene of hers that she was in that I cared about. And again,
I don't think it was strong.
Like even at the end when she's the one that's like doing the thing to stop the thing from coming out of the ground, like I don't care for this.
Yeah,
I don't. Like even she makes even that character like is so dull to me that like even her being the one that defeats the bad thing and like stops it doesn't hit. So I'm like,
because she's been a snooze the whole movie.
Like even your power your power to solve the thing is a snooze. You're just the thing barely comes out and all you're doing is freezing it.
Yeah,
like cool.
No, she was
or
turning
whatever
it to
the
stone.
fuck it is.
She was turning it to stone. I actually think people, and this is something people said a lot. They think that Cersei's powers are lame.
No,
I just think you're not being creative.
I don't think her powers are lame.
Like,
I just think that particular end of the movie with her doing that, it was anticlimactic.
Right.
Okay. Right. I actually, for me, because Chloe Zhao loves those landscape and those large, wide shots, seeing the Eternal emerge from the ground, like how that was done, I'm like, okay, I see the Chloe Zhao touch here. But I particularly loved how seeing like the hand, like the fingers, like in that grasp, because it reminded me of like that photo, like the cosmic like space shoot called like the Hand of God. And it all, to me, it all circles back to that they are essentially angels, the deviants are demons, the celestials are God. Right. And it brings that larger conversation of to sacrifice a few for the good of the many, and how that conversation unfolds amongst them all, and what the value is in. I thought it just asked so many good questions, and I don't need a movie to give me the answers. I like that European style of film where it doesn't feel like it needs to like hold its audience's hands. We're going to ask you questions, but we're not going to tell you what our answer is. You guys can sit with it or do what you want with it. And I really like that this is the first Marvel movie to take those kind of risks that they did with the narrative and not just be a typical Marvel film. So for me, I like risks. I don't like playing it safe when it comes to this stuff. So
I'll agree with you there.
Marvel's Eternals for me gets a 9 out of 10. I give this movie a straight 9 out of 10. The casting was phenomenal. The chemistry was phenomenal. The substance of the story was phenomenal. Costume design, the powers I thought were cool. Even the things that I considered weak, I thought was okay, because it is the first Marvel movie outside of the Avengers ones to make me feel something. Like I felt in this movie. So it felt just for me. So I'm like 9 out of 10.
One quick question. And this is just completely throwing it out random here. Just wondering, if there is no Phastos in this movie, what do you score it?
1. No, I'm saying, if there's no Phastos in this movie, because like the characters,
I have to, or let's make it even maybe a little bit tougher here, because if you take out Phastos completely, that we don't know how the movie would be. Obviously, let's take out the integral scene that they included that has his
same sex kiss.
No, not just that, just that, just like his whole personal part of the movie.
Take all that out,
right?
Take his whole background.
Does that, because I know you have a personal attachment to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that change your score if that is not done that way? If it's done a typical bad, shitty fucking
just a cookie cutter way. Just a cookie cutter way.
Cookie cutter, please China way.
Do you mean like if do you basically mean if he had a wife instead of a husband?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Or
as in like his story remains intact.
Yeah, or
but
if he
it's not
was
with a
single,
man?
whatever. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Just it isn't like that he's gay. Does that change that? Yes.
Like they don't.
Yes.
Like they don't make his sexual identity so front and center. The only way that would lose points for me is if Disney and Marvel did what they always do, of say like you get representation, but it's not in the movie. That's the only way that would lose points for me. If the character Fastos was in the film, and let's say you still have the Japan moment with him,
okay,
and in the present day he's single, but it's not, I don't know, hidden like the way Disney always does it. There's something to make it very clear. I would be a little chapped because it's still, again, my thing is, don't say you have representation in your movie and then sidestep it.
I agree.
If they had said nothing about that going into the movie, and then there's just one blip moment where it hints to it, I would have been like amazed by it because it's like, oh, they didn't even say that. I was like, so that's it. But if you're going to like tap your own shoulder for doing representation and it's not in there, yes, I would have dropped. Yeah,
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Crazy.
If you're gonna,
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Okay.
But no, I think if he was single or if he had been with a woman in the movie instead of a man, I still find his story to be incredibly impactful. And I think Brian Tyree Henry just did a really good job, and how he meshed with the rest of the cast was so good. And a lot of the other performances were just, I think, Salma Hayek as Ajak was able to play that mothering role amazing. The actor who played Druig, we got to keep looking out for him because clearly he's a fucking actor. With what happened in Tenochtitlan. Angelina Jolie se comió, like what she did and not even having to speak, it just through an eye contact with Gilgamesh.
Angelina Jolie barely spoke in this movie overall.
Barely, but still her acting, like that's like the talent of this woman. It's still, and I actually liked the Tiamat end sequence and that now on Earth in the MCU, there's literally a god's hand sticking out of the surface of our as our ocean. So I think that's cool.
Okay. All right. The movie for me is between a 6 and a 7. Okay. If I could give it a 6.5, I would, but it's not. I can't do that. So I'm gonna be lenient here, and I'm gonna give it the 7. But that's gonna be because I do agree the acting was very good. I think and that's the acting kept me involved. The like I mentioned before, some of the characters, their stories kept me involved. I enjoyed the diversity in the movie. I enjoyed that it wasn't just like a bunch of cookie cutter, all look the same heroes. And I did like some of like the fight scenes, like especially right in the middle. Like to me, the middle of the movie was like my favorite part of the movie. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that part of the movie, and I think that them taking the risk, like you mentioned, deserves more than what people have been saying. Because Marvel does not do this typically, and because the conglomerate that is Disney always has to please everybody else because they want to make the most money, the fact that they did do what they did overall with this movie, and more importantly, have not backtracked or changed,
stick your guns
then
there.
yes,
they haven't.
Then yes, the movie I think deserves at least a 7 for that. Rewatchability for me, probably no, but I could say the same for, I would say 75 to 80% of Marvel movies in general, I'm not going to watch again.
That's a good point.
Me, Black Panther, this movie, And guess I'm gonna say Doctor Strange just because I have like a weird interest with Doctor Strange. But these three IPs, if that's what you want to call them, I guess, they're the ones that like are the only ones that interest me to like even discuss it. Because like I don't care about anybody else. I don't care about Iron Man. I don't care about Thor. Like I'll never even discuss these guys because I don't give a shit about it.
Got
Be
I watch the movies because at this point now I'm so invested in this long timeline thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
That now I'm locked into just like what they're doing and how it ends up Endgame type thing.
Yeah.
But they've done that and they knew what they were doing, and that's what they've done with people like me that don't really care about this type of stuff. It's like they give us enough in these movies to attach you so that you can go to the next one to go, what are they gonna give us that's gonna be the next thing to like tie us to the next thing.
It's just say what it is, man. They string you along. They got you. They got the hook in you. They're just gonna pull you to shore.
Yeah.
Now you guys have made some riveting points in the last few minutes. It's got me rethinking a couple things. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh, saying that I was locked out per se. You made.
I'm literally holding the door like ajar, just listening as the rain's pouring, and like trying to say.
You brought up some good points that maybe I kind of let slip over my head. There was some good storylines in there. There was some great dynamics between characters, great visuals, good action. But it still just doesn't hit for me. I feel bad doing
perfectly
this.
Fine.
I feel bad for this because you guys give
perfectly
it
fine.
Erroneous.
Perfectly fine.
Erroneous.
4 out of 10. Never want to see it again. Get this garbage off my screen. Marvel, come back with something that I care about. None of this garbage. You tried something new. I'm happy for you.
Hey, man.
You didn't back down. I'm happy for you. Bring back the formula. Do it works. Don't give me this garbage. This run around. You want my $11? Do it the right way. That's all I got to say about it.
Hey, man. Gotta respect it.
Roll credits.
It is
Roll
what
credits.
it is.
Fico will not be on the show next week as he will be dead.
I will say this real quick. Our producer sent us a message with a very interesting little piece here. He says something doesn't add up here. The tomato meter for Rotten Tomatoes has Eternals at a 47, audience score 80, but Black Panther has a 96 tomato meter and a 75 audience score. Also, Captain America: Civil War 90 tomato meter, 89 audience score. So these movies all did well with the audience.
Yeah.
So something's a little off there.
Okay, give it maybe a test of time.
I think
why do these critics? Why do they have to be so harsh? What made them?
Well, there's two factors. I think there's two factors here. One, the closest to the tinfoil hat theory is I think when people talk about representation now and representation in film, there's a lot of people that are just so eye rolls into the back of their head about it that even when it comes time to serve the dinner, they're already like, I'm not going to like this, or they're just already predisposed to some kind of an attitude. I'm not saying it's like a race issue that they hate. They don't want to see gay people, maybe some of them, but I think it might also be that they feel it's like it's one of those like PC attempts at like, look at all the inclusion and shit like that, and that might have turned them off to it. Second, I think when you have for 2 weeks critics just bombing this movie, maybe something subconsciously switches in the mindset of fans where like, you know what? I'm going to go into this movie and find a way to fucking like it. I'm going to find a way to go into this thing and enjoy this movie, because you want to disagree with the critics, because honestly, the critics suck most of the time. And here we are trying to be critics, so I'm sorry about that.
We are who we thought that we are. This is a big reason why I don't like to look at scores before I see a movie.
Same.
Like,
don't have any
because
preconceived notions going
it does give you like these subconscious kind of ideas. So it's probably better to not see a movie and look at the scores first.
I agree.
Just go see the movie, enjoy it
Make
or
your
not
own-
enjoy
make
it,
your own
whatever.
opinion on it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
but who knows, man? I mean, who knows? It is what it is.
The next MCU movie in a few weeks now. We're all very close now to Spider-Man No Way Home. We'll be reviewing that. Tomorrow is Disney Plus Day. So there's going
Will
to be
it be better than
announcements.
Fandom? Probably.
Probably, because that bar is very low. So Ramel, maybe, and Fico, if you want to join, perhaps Saturday, we'll see when we can do maybe a quick thing, because I don't know if necessarily next week that's something we want to
Tackle, right.
that we're going to touch on. Something that I do want for next week, Red Notice with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds drops this weekend on Netflix. So we're going to be talking about that next week.
100%.
And then we'll see what else we can pick around. I think maybe if we want to touch a little bit of Yellowstone watch.
Angelo does not watch Yellowstone. Very unfortunate.
That's very bastardly. Ramel, if you and I just have to do a little little cowboy watch.
They basically spoiled like the second season in one of their commercials, so I can't go into it watching it now with a clear eye.
You gotta watch it, man. It's a great show. Succession is another show that's very good that we'll probably just discuss at the end of the season, Gab, because
I like that. Yeah, we'll just do a wrap up of the season.
And I feel like there's another thing that came out.
The other thing I am going to start doing, even though it's 4 episodes in, neither of you are clearly interested in this, but I'm going to start doing maybe like watch-alongs or reviews for Young Justice season 4 that's on HBO Max. It's got to participate in that conversation, because it's just a legendary show.
Okay, well, we'll figure out another thing
We'll throw something in there
to review next week, along with Red Notice. But yeah, I think we're good, boys.
Nice.
Well done today. Good job. We had no technical difficulties up until this point, so
our
producer came to work. Are we getting better?
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, but the key is consistency. Let's see how long we can hold this rhythm up.
Yeah. Okay. All right, boys. Well, I'll catch you later.
Later.
Peace.
Nice.
Ah, crap. I did the wrong fucking thing.